Robert Byrne's salon, which was your dad's salon. So tell me, this goes back generations.
Yeah, my dad was a hairdresser, my grandfather was a barber, and my great-grandfather was a barber. So for me, it was like growing up on a family farm.
Yeah.
So it was just natural that I'd followed into my family footsteps, even though my dad wasn't too keen on it in the beginning.
And why was that?
I suppose it's like everything else, you know, he knows all the pitfalls that there is to it. It's just like my children. I suppose if they did it, I wouldn't mind, but I always encourage them to do something else.
Yes, okay.
You know.
But look, it worked out well for you. You went on and studied even further.
Yeah.
You became a trichologist. Explain to us what that is.
Okay, well, because Dad didn't want me to be a hairdresser, I actually ended up, I didn't start in the salon. I actually had to go to Anco, as it was then, or Foss. And the science book that we used was written by a trichologist, Leo Palladino, who came to the salon or came to Anco to give a talk on the science of hair. Mm-hmm. And essentially my tutor said to me, you should consider doing that. So a few years later I actually went over to London and studied trichology in London, mm-hmm. and worked in a salon called Moulton Brand. So I studied at night time and worked during the day. Mm-hmm. So for me, because I wasn't a doctor or I didn't have a PhD in biochemistry, it took 6 years to become a member of the institute.
Wow.
Yeah.
I tell you, there's a lot of work involved in
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
But you know what, it has stood to you as well, because you are a minefield of information in this field. So tell us a little bit about, I suppose, some conditions that you would come across with this study, and I suppose in the salon as well.
Yeah. Well, a lot of trichologists are trichologists on their own, mm-hmm. and I did that for a number of years, particularly mm-hmm. when I was in London. Mm-hmm. But I actually missed combining trichology or hair and scalp disorders mm-hmm. with doing hairdressing, mm-hmm. and people are far more relaxed when they're in the salon, so they talk to you about it more. Sure. So essentially, there are different types of hair loss. There are kind of temporary type of hair loss, the most common ones being, say, postpartum alopecia, mm-hmm. hair loss after a baby, and post-fibral alopecia, hair loss after having a high temperature. Yeah. One of the most common hair losses, though, particularly in women, is a condition called telogen effluvium, and particularly chronic telogen effluvium, where you lose more hair than normal. You don't go bald. Mm-hmm. Essentially, you do go a little bit lighter here and a little bit lighter down at the side. Mm-hmm. And that's caused by low blood iron. Now, not being anemic, but actually having low levels of serum ferritin. Not medically low. In other words, if a lady goes to her GP and she gets her blood tested, her ferritin levels might be 20 nanograms per milliliter. Medically, she's fine. But in actual fact, if your levels are around that level, it's too low. Mm-hmm. So therefore, it's a matter of correcting them. Yes. So that's a very, very common. In fact, about 85% of hair loss in women is actually that. Mm-hmm. We lose about 100 hairs a day. Normally throughout the day we lose about 100 hairs, and we do lose a little bit more in the autumn time. Then what happens is, say after a particular episode, say for example, if you went on a crash diet, for example, you lost a lot of weight, your hair is not affected then, it's affected about 3 months later. And what then happens is that you've forgotten about what triggered it off in the first place. So it's a matter about talking a patient or a client through what happened in the previous couple of months to see if you can find a trigger. So that trigger might be dietary, it might be medication, going on certain medication, coming off certain medication, it might be stress, it could be hormonal. There are lots and lots of different reasons for it.
So Liam, it's not just this that you deal with, we're in a busy normal salon as well, so tell us, what are the trends now for this here, and what are people looking for in their haircuts?
Well, I mean, balayage and so on and so forth is still the big thing. With colour, people want colour that's not high maintenance. Although we do get people coming in looking for the grey look, where the hair is completely grey.
Us women want low maintenance, but yet we want to look fantastic. But you provide that all-round service, so thank you for talking to us.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much.